For example, on a front-wheel drive car, you don't have to worry about this.
All right,
Alright guys, time for front-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive part 3 at the track. Right now you're looking at our rear-wheel drive test subject. It is a 1980 Sunbird with an aluminum 5.3, some truck heads, an LS7 cam, an S480 turbo, Trailblazer SS intake. It has an electric water pump, a very compact radiator, and no intercooler. We are running methanol injection on the car, running a combination of water and methanol, as well as ethanol. A front-wheel drive car at the track is not going to handle quite as well as a rear-wheel drive car off of the line, simply because the weight of the vehicle is going to naturally shift towards the rear of the vehicle on acceleration. And when you are sending power to the front wheels, it will unload the front tires and you're not able to get as much traction. Because of this, your 60 foots will be a little lacking, but once you get down track, your drivetrain efficiency will help to propel the car to be faster. In order to get the same ET, a front-wheel drive car has to do something called the top-end charge, where it makes up all of its ET basically from the 330 on. One big disadvantage for a front-wheel drive car is if a problem's going to happen, it's likely going to happen at a high rate of speed. Because a front-wheel drive car can't leave with all of the power off the line, that means you're not stressing the drivetrain components very hard. Because they have to make up all of their ET on the top end, you are likely pushing the components much harder than you would on a rear-wheel drive car for the same ET. That's why you see so many horrific wrecks from front-wheel drive cars where they crash the car at 150 miles per hour. And I don't care what kind of car you're driving, that's going to do some damage. Additionally, a front-wheel drive has challenges with something called torque steer. Because you are sending power to the front wheels, which are also the wheels that steer, if you apply uneven torque to the wheels, the car will naturally want to steer. Here is a great example of it. As you can see, that's pretty scary. Moving on to rear-wheel drive. Rear-wheel drive has some distinct advantages in that the weight transfer naturally goes to the driven wheels. Additionally, there are much more performance parts for rear-wheel drive applications, so it's much easier to make a rear-wheel drive combination work without a lot of custom fabrication. Some disadvantages are, at least in a front engine application, is the engine is not located over the driven axle. This means that it is harder to get more weight bias on the driven wheels from the get-go, but sometimes that could be a very bad thing. For example, on a front-wheel drive car, you don't have to worry about this.
all right.
This was the most recent outing from the Sunbird. Obviously the front end got a little high, and because of it, we broke the oil pan and the oil filter and got oil all over the track. This is one primary disadvantage to a rear-wheel drive combo, but it can be mitigated using wheelie bars or other wheelie management strategies. So let's put two time slips next to one another. On the left we have front wheel drive, on the right we have rear wheel drive. Now you're going to notice right off the bat the front wheel drive is severely lacking in the 60 foot. The rear wheel drive car was able to apply much more power right off of the line, and therefore it was able to cut a much better ET. However, if you go from the change in mile an hour from the 1/8 mile to the 1/4 mile, you will notice where the front wheel drive shines. Now I should mention that the rear wheel drive car weighs about 300 pounds more than the front wheel drive car. That being said, if you look at the mile per hour, you will notice that they are very close to one another. So the power to weight ratio is pretty similar. One thing you can't argue with on a front wheel drive car is drivetrain efficiency. This is why you see those videos of a front wheel drive versus a rear wheel drive car where the rear wheel drive car gets out on the front wheel drive car and then the front wheel drive comes flying around it on the top end. So I think that about wraps up our videos on front wheel drive versus rear wheel drive. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have anything to add or any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.